Hey guys, Joe from XFoxGames. You know, sometimes I hit that point where I'm like reviewing a blaster and I'm just like, I don't even want to do this. I'm going to send this stinking thing back. And this was almost going to be one of those. But after doing a lot of research online, I was like, okay, I want this thing to work. I really do. And tweaking and going and reading and watching YouTube videos, I finally got it to shoot about where it should be. But man, it was a few hours of research, and luckily I had some parts to actually fix it. So what do we got here? The Worker Swift. Probably been out about 8 months or so, and this thing is an animal once you get it dialed in. So let's just hop right in and take a look at the box. It's a big box. It does come in technically 2 different pieces, if you want to call it that. There are 2 main pieces, and assembly for this is pretty straightforward. Inside the box, you have the actual kind of front half of the blaster, you have the rear end of the blaster, you have kind of the front muzzle, if you want to call it that. You do get a scar barrel in there, you do get some Worker Gen 3s, you get some stickers, and so forth. Underneath, they got a nice surprise. You can see it right there on the box, says there's a nice surprise underneath, and you get a longer barrel and a kind of a they call it a 1.4 spring, a little bit, gives you a little more FPS. So in the box, they give you a lot. I was like, okay, but man, right out of the gate when I shot this thing, guys, it was not good. Maybe getting like 80 FPS if the thing would even shoot at all. I watched a few videos and kind of said, okay, let's re-grease, let's reseal, let's check seeing everything is going on, and I was still getting just massive inconsistencies. So I'm not gonna like go on forever about it, but the first thing that you wanna do is check this out. You wanna make sure that you swap those green O-rings with the red ones. So you got 2 on the back plunger and 1 on the kind of the front pusher. Swap those all out for the red ones. I was lucky enough to have an extra kit because when I watched a YouTube video, they were saying they had issues, so they ordered this extra kit for this particular blaster. Now, I also ran into another bigger issue. That was the actual kind of front, I don't know what the exact name of this part is, the hanger or something like that. I ran into issues with this where it really wouldn't clamp onto the barrel all that great. After a few shots, the barrel was loose and you could just pull it right out. And eventually it broke after all the repeated impacts of me shooting. I only shot maybe 30, 40 shots until it broke. And luckily I ordered that kit because that kit is really what fixed the problem. So after it broke, I put it in there and I was shooting decently well. I mean, depending on the spring that you have, which we'll talk about here in a moment, you can get pretty high FPS. So let's take a look at this thing in the hands. It's a nice looking blaster. I mean, it's, you know, this thing is going to be more geared towards an adult nerfer. This thing I consider to be the upper tier, like the pro class. People are going to be running these things, you know, in competitions and things like that. This is not your everyday $30, $40 nerf. This thing is pretty gutsy. One of the things about this that makes it so awesome is, one is the ease of use, where you can break this thing down by just 3 individual bolts on there, and you can break it open, swap it up, do what you got to do. But also you can swap out in the back here, you can undo a little kind of set screw, a bigger set screw with the Allen wrench that's included, and you could swap out your spring. It does come, or mine came with the 1.2 spring installed, which should push you about 120 FPS, 110, depending on the darts in the barrel. Now, if you want to put in the 1.4 spring, yes, you're going to get upwards of like 160, 170, maybe even more that I've seen people getting, depending on your barrel and the darts that you use. Now, also with this particular blaster, the grip up here is really good. It's large, man. The prime does not feel like you're shooting the 120, 140, 150 category. It feels like you're shooting 90 FPS with kind of how light the pull is, but still it feels really good. It does come along with our 1 mag that is 10 round compatible. I did notice when I tried to fit the 10th one in there, it was again kind of sticky, so I stick to 9. But still, other Worker mags worked perfectly fine on this. It does come along with 2 different barrels. They have a shorter one on there, and the longer one was underneath as that surprise. So the barrels are super easy to swap out. It's basically just a set screw right here on the bottom, and you, of course, undo it with the included Allen wrench. You pull the barrel out, you slide it in, you're ready to rock and roll. Now, it took a while for me to find out where that Allen wrench was. I guess I should have read the instruction booklets, but it was right there on the bottom. Right on the bottom of the grip, it just fits in there. It was a little bit difficult to get out, I'll give you that, but I'll probably keep it in my pocket or something like that. But it is right there on the bottom. They do include 2 different kind of suppressor tips. One is actually going to be more of a scar, which is kind of this light orange one in here. Did it improve accuracy? Tough to say, right? It's very tough to say, but still, it is nice. They also include a kind of plastic, bigger suppressor. I didn't really like the look of that. I mean, it just made the blaster like way too long. So I'm just gonna, I just didn't use it. One of the cool things is, if you guys remember when we were shooting our the Phoenixes back here, we made some suppressors for them. And you know me, right? I had to throw my suppressor right on top of that Scar barrel, and look at that. It goes off the screen. Look at that. Yeah. Does it help with accuracy? No. Does it help with suppression? No. Does it look cool? Yeah. Look at that. I can like go off the screen. It looks so cool. I made a bunch of different tips. You can see the other ones back there. I made a bunch of different tips that just slide right on and are just to look cool, right? Like that. I think that one looks friggin' awesome. But let's just get into shooting this thing. Here we go. So rounds here. Everything from the Worker Gen 3s to cut half lengths that I had, generic darts. I'm using some Adventure Force stuff, but those are black, so they're a little bit harder to see. But you can see, I mean, for the most part, it shot great. I mean, you're talking about 160 plus with the 1.4 spring, and that's pretty stinking good once you get all of the seals done. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna let you guys listen to that. I mean, that's, whew. The white ones, though, are the, which we'll talk about here in a moment. They're not your average kind of dart. They're kind of your bulk darts, which I cut down. Flywheel blasters instead of the kind of Springer blasters. But I still shot them out of here, and they shot fine. But the best performance was, yeah, Adventure Force Pro stuff. Those things rocked and rolled. So you can see here, I'm just kind of having a fun time, just kind of shooting. I even threw my suppressor on, and I don't know, it did feel like, I don't know, it was doing something, but we all know, again, this the suppressor on the end is just all for looks, right? There's no gain there. But there you go. That is my shooting, right? I didn't want to go too deep into that, but hopefully later on when it gets, sunnier, I definitely want to go out and shoot at some longer distances to see. But overall, guys, what they give you in the package with the 2 different springs, the 2 different barrels, the ease of use on this, the ease of changing the springs, the ease of changing the barrels on the fly in a matter of seconds, was great. But the initial experience I had out of the gate was not good. Changing the O-rings, lubing them up, testing, breaking the front. Luckily, I had the other one, the dart holder. I mean, it was just crazy. I was so close because you're like, you got to try the green O-ring, then you got to try the red one, and some people are trying to say the 2 green ones and the darker green one and the red one up front. After doing all of those combinations, re-lubing, re-greasing, put it back together, again, it was like 2 to 3 hours of back and forth, and I was like, you know what? A blaster of this caliber and this price, you should not have to fiddle with O-rings for days and hours. Maybe like every couple minutes, just, tweak and go, but you should not spend hours on it retweaking. But once I got it, I feel like the performance on this is great. I feel like I could squeeze a little more out of here, maybe with the metal dart holder and some of the other additional pieces for this, which I want to get. But overall, guys, yeah, it's a good blaster. It shoots so hard, so hard, and it's super accurate. I cannot wait till later on to really kind of dig in and see what this thing is all about, and put some suppressors and things on there. I just think that looks cool. I mean, it extends it by another 7 inches if this thing isn't long enough, but look how this thing is huge. But with that barrel and shooting, I thought it was just, again, it was just kind of fun. But still, guys, let me know what you guys think. I'm just curious if a lot of you guys have got this blaster, but I don't know. Due to the price, and due to some of the bad reviews that I've seen out there, I don't know. I don't know if it's selling super hot or not. I still feel like I would, stick with a Adventure Force Pro or a Nexus Pro or something like that over this, but we'll see. Hopefully this thing breaks in over time and gets a little bit better, but still a cool blaster nonetheless, and that's even cooler, I think. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. Thanks again, Fox fans.